Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bill Carson. I'm the police chief in Maryland Heights, and I'd like to thank all of you for being here today. I'm going to talk about a police officer involved shooting that occurred Saturday morning in Maryland Heights. In that incident, a police officer was struck by the driver of a stolen car, and the driver was shot by police officers. The wounded suspect is 16 years old. Before I get into some of the details and factual information, I would like to extend our thoughts and prayers to the family of that young man. Anytime a 16-year-old is shot, it is sad and tragic, even if that 16-year-old is involved in criminal activity and making bad decisions. We sincerely hope that this young man makes a full recovery. This is also something that's very traumatic for the police officers that are involved. They did not come to work that night expecting to be involved in a shooting. And one officer in particular did not expect to be assaulted and hit by the driver of a stolen vehicle. These are good police officers that work very, very hard to keep our community safe. I'm going to give you some facts, but I want to emphasize that the investigation is far from complete. There is a lot of work that still needs to be done, including interviews, review of video and digital evidence, ballistics, lab analysis. All of these things take time. This incident actually started with a crime spree across several police jurisdictions in St. Louis County. It is no secret that we have a significant problem in St. Louis County with groups of people that are breaking into cars, stealing guns, and stealing cars. And quite often, those stolen guns and cars are then used and involved in violent crimes. So on Saturday night, actually early Saturday morning, there were reports of a gold Hyundai Sonata. This particular vehicle had been stolen from Maryland Heights. There were reports that that vehicle was involved in several break-ins in different apartment complexes in different police jurisdictions in St. Louis County. That Hyundai was associated with two Kias, one black and one white, both of which had been stolen. At two different points in time, other police departments pursued these cars, but they were able to get away. The two Kias were last seen running in tandem, heading toward Maryland Heights. At about 3:27 a.m. Saturday morning, a Maryland Heights police officer spotted both Kias exiting Interstate 270 onto Dorset Road. The officer got behind the vehicles, turned on his lights and siren, and attempted to stop them. Both vehicles fled. The officer followed those vehicles, allowing other officers to get into position with spike strips. At some point, spike strips were deployed, and 3 tires on the white Kia were flattened. The two Kias continued traveling together, the white Kia having 3 flat tires. They turned onto Jonesdale Court, which is a one-way street. As they went down the street, at some point, the white Kia veers off into a front yard, and the driver of that vehicle bailed out and was on foot. Several police officers got out of their cars expecting to pursue the suspect on foot. It should be noted that the driver of both vehicles were wearing ski masks, so the officers were not able to determine age, gender, or race of the suspects involved. The driver of the black Kia turned around and appeared to be attempting to pick up the driver of the white Kia who was on foot. Meanwhile, the officers that were on foot were converging upon them. The driver of the black Kia drove forward and actually swerved toward one of the police officers. That officer fired his weapon just before being hit by the car. Two other officers at that point also fired their weapons. The officer that was hit by the car was thrown into the air, slammed into a parked car, and fell to the pavement. The black Kia went across a driveway, through a front yard, back onto the street before striking a parked police car. The driver at that point was slumped over the wheel. The police officers were able to apprehend the driver of the white Kia. They removed the wounded driver from the black Kia. They administered first aid and called for an ambulance. When the ambulance arrived on the scene, the wounded driver was conveyed to a hospital. Also conveyed to a hospital was the injured police officer. The police officer was treated and released. He is very, very fortunate that he was not seriously injured. The young man was admitted to a hospital. He has very, very serious injuries. The last update that I have on him is that he is still hospitalized with very serious injuries. As I said before, the driver of the black Kia was 16 years old. The driver of the white Kia was 15 years old. He has been conveyed to the St. Louis County Family Court Juvenile Detention Center. As far as I know, he is still in custody at juvenile detention. 3 Maryland Heights police officers fired their weapons. A female officer, aged 25, she has 2.5 years experience as a police officer. A male officer, aged 32, he has 2 years experience as a police officer. And a male officer, aged 44, he has 20 years experience as a police officer. Again, I want to emphasize that the investigation is not complete. It will take some time before we have all the facts. I'm trying to give you just some factual information that I know right now. I know that you probably have questions, and I might not have all the answers to your questions right now, or I might not be able to answer them. But I will take some questions. I ask you to be patient. Allow this investigation to continue. At some point, more information will be released. Another point I do want to make, this was all captured on video. The officers were all wearing body cameras. The police cars all had in-dash camera systems. We have a lot of video from a lot of different angles, and that video is being analyzed, and obviously that's a significant part of the investigation. I'm aware of one independent eyewitness that was in the yard, I think with his dog when this incident happened, and he was able to provide a description of what he observed. So I don't think when it's all over there's going to be a lot of unanswered questions, but it'll take time to get to that point. So I'll take some questions right now, and be happy to answer what questions I can.
Chief, do you plan to release that video?
Yes, I do. It's not going to be today. It's not going to be this week. The St. Louis County Police Department does a really outstanding job with the way they release videos. I think they have a good model, and I plan on doing something very, very similar to that. But again, it's not going to be today. It's not going to be this week. But we do intend to release video when this investigation is over.
Are both the suspects male?
Both suspects are male.
And which of the three officers was the one who was injured?
The 32-year-old male officer.
And how's he doing?
He is hurting, and I know he has, obviously being hit by a car, he has a lot of aches and pains, but fortunately he does not have serious injuries.
Can you speak to the challenges you guys have faced with some of these car clottings, car thefts in the Maryland Heights area?
Yeah, and it's not unique to Maryland Heights. This is something that we've seen all throughout the metropolitan area. It is very much a problem. They are stealing cars, they are stealing guns out of cars, and again, those cars and those guns are later sometimes used in violent crimes. We're doing everything we can in Maryland Heights to deter and to prevent these crimes from happening. But when they do happen, we investigate them, and we are trying very hard to hold people accountable. Unfortunately, a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times the offenders are juveniles, and so when you get involved with the juvenile system, that also presents some challenges. But we're doing everything we can to prevent these crimes from occurring, and to solve the crimes and to hold the people accountable.
You mentioned the gold Hyundai was stolen in Maryland Heights. What about the two Kias? Do you know where they were stolen from?
Yeah, one Kia was stolen from Chesterfield. One Kia was stolen from unincorporated St. Louis County near Baldwin. So those two were stolen from West County. We know that the gold Hyundai was stolen from Maryland Heights.
Did you guys find that car yet, or that driver?
We're actually still looking for that car. Even today, we've got detectives out trying to find that car. The gold Hyundai has not been recovered yet.
But it was somehow connected with the other two cars? I don't quite understand what happened there.
I know it's a little confusing, but these groups run in tandem. At one point, the gold Kia and the gold Hyundai and the white Kia were running together, breaking into cars. At some point, the gold Hyundai was replaced by the black Kia. So how many people do we have involved? I couldn't give you a number at this point. I know we've got one in custody and we've got one wounded. There may be more involved. As I said, we have not recovered the gold Hyundai yet.
Did you find any guns in the two stolen cars? The Kia, either of the Kias?
This time we did not.
When were those cars stolen? Was it recently?
Yes, very recently. I think all within 48 hours.
Can you tell us what city the suspects are from?
Yes, one suspect lived in Maryland Heights. One suspect lived, I believe, in unincorporated St. Louis County.
Can you talk more about your thought process and the rationale behind waiting to release the footage?
Yeah, I think, and again, I know the media and the public would like to see it now, but it's very important for us to do a thorough, proper investigation, and we, we believe that it would not be beneficial to the investigation to release it right now. I know St. Louis County has a waiting period before they release their video, and we do intend to release it, but we need to finish our investigation first.
Chief, that 16-year-old that was hit, do you know how many times? I mean, he had 3 officers shooting at him.
Yeah, I can't comment right now. And again, there's a lot of things that are still being evaluated. We don't have all the medical records. There's a lot of things that we don't have right now. I cannot tell you at this time, which officers hit him. I can't tell you, I can't tell you all of those things. That will be something that I think when the investigation is complete, we will be able to answer those questions, but at this point, I don't have those answers.
Chief, can you tell me, I know it probably seems obvious, but what about that situation justified the officers opening fire?
I think, the officers were trying to stop an immediate threat. There was basically a stolen car that was swerving toward a police officer. And, again, we have not completed all of the interviews, but I know typically when there's a deadly threat, an officer can use deadly force to stop that threat. I hope that answers your question. Any other questions?
Are there any charges pending that you know of?
Both of the suspects are juveniles, so this is something that will all be referred to St. Louis County Family Court. But yes, there are multiple charges. There's a felony assault first degree on a police officer. There's 2 young men that are driving stolen cars. There's resisting arrest. There's felony fleeing. There's car break-ins in other jurisdictions. I think when it's all said and done, there's multiple criminal charges that will be presented to the family court.
As a new prosecutor in St. Louis County, do you hope that might make a difference I know in this case these are juveniles, but we have obviously seen all ages when it comes to car plottings and car thefts. Do you believe that a new prosecutor might help bring stronger charges to send a message regarding these crimes?
Well, a couple of things. I'd like to mention that I was on Wesley Bell's advisory panel. He had a group of police chiefs that he met with on a regular basis to discuss problems and trends, and I was very glad to be a part of that panel and to be involved in discussions with Wesley Bell. I hope to have similar discussions with the new prosecutor, and I look forward to sitting down with her because I think there are a lot of problems that can be discussed, and I look forward to the new prosecutor and any ideas or changes that she might have planned for St. Louis County. But keep in mind the St. Louis County prosecutor does not have complete authority over the St. Louis County Family Court. And so when you have offenses involving juveniles that fall under the jurisdiction of the family court, the St. Louis County prosecutor might not be able to do all of the things that they would like to do. But I think there are certainly crime problems in St. Louis County that need to be addressed, and there are a lot of I think there are a lot of people that would like to contribute and offer suggestions and try to solve some of those problems.
Chief, can you say the top speed the pursuit hit before the first car being spiked?
You know, all of our in-car systems record speeds, and I listened to the radio tapes, and it's interesting. After the tires were flattened, after the car hit spike strips, we're actually talking about low speeds. The car that was driving on 3 flat tires was moving at a fairly low speed. Another thing I want to point out is that police pursuits, a lot of times the time of day and the conditions have an impact on whether or not those pursuits can be continued or whether they need to be terminated for safety reasons. This particular pursuit was at 3:30 in the morning when there was very, very minimal traffic. So I think a lot of factors came into play that allowed this to continue. And then obviously when the vehicles pulled onto a dead-end street, you know, the officers knew that they had them boxed in and felt that it was coming to an end. Okay, thank you very much for your time. And again, there will be more information. Please be patient. We'll have more answers to your questions. And at some point, video will be released along with more of a timeline and more specific details on what happened. But this hopefully will, you know, give you some information and know that more information will come further down the road. Thank you.